Hello, everybody out there in TikTok world, Facebook land, YouTube, wherever all this is going to be happening, hitting, and going live. Hello. How are you doing? I'm Monty Anderson, your host at 412 Productions, and we've got a big show today. That's why I'm going on a little bit earlier than normal. Yes, normal is what I said. So, welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Monty Anderson with 412 Productions. And we will be talking the new Antarctic press drop for Critter, the collected graphic novel. We have 100 pages of graphic novel to discuss today. And, I thank Ben Dunn for giving us the opportunity, those of us that are reviewing these comic books that they are dropping on a regular basis. We get a drop every Friday. And generally, that does not fall on one of my shows. And if it does, it follows way later in the day. So, welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Monty Anderson with 412 Productions. We are going to be talking Antarctic Press's title called Critter. Superheroine, and it is a graphic novel, so there is 100 freaking pages to go through of this book. Now, I don't know if it's the entire collected series on the character or not, because at some point in time you've got the opening scenes of the book, and then it jumps to what it says book 4. Now, there's a lot of different things that happened in this book, a lot of action on a regular basis. That's why we're coming on earlier than normal today, is so that we can accommodate everybody as they come in to learn a little bit more about Antarctic Press titles. Now, behind me, you've got all the Antarctic Press logos over the years. And Ben Dunn has tried to keep it relevant in today's society and keep it updated and cool looking and all that good stuff. And you've got to remember, this is their 40th anniversary for Antarctic Press. So it started in '85 and is still going strong today. 40 years strong for a comic book company to be out there. You've got Marvel and DC, who started out as something else, um, and they started back in the 30s. Now, DC started back in the 30s, and Marvel kind of did around the 30s, 40s, in that range as well, with their pulp titles. If you don't know what a pulp is, you can go look that up, and it will explain more about what a pulp title is. And I can explain a little bit to you. A pulp title is a smaller book with collected series throughout it. It was not magazine size or comic book size at the time. If I had a comic book right here, I'd grab it and show you. But pulp is a smaller book, almost pocket size. And a lot of companies use that right off the bat. And like DC, Marvel started out as something different, like Timely Comics or Timely Books or whatever they were. And then they moved into their true comic titles, Marvel and DC. But now you've got AP, which is Antarctic Press. Been around since '85. And with that, they've got a lot of titles under their belt. A lot of creator owned comics inside of Antarctic Press as well, um, just being printed by the moniker of Antarctic Press. And so that is the exciting thing with everything that they get to do, just because they get so many unique titles. Just like whenever we're previewing anything from Ben Dunn, like Kendra or Tomorrow Girl or things like that, they also have other books inside, other little chapters after the main story. So, excuse me, just like with Tomorrow Girl and Kendra, I think it was Kendra. Maybe it was both of the Tomorrow Girls. Yeah, it was Tomorrow Girl 11 and 12. They've got this a kid friendly version of a comic inside of the Tomorrow Girl franchise, which is Tractor Lad. So you've got Tractor Lad inside there as well, which is creator owned, but yet is still being imprinted by Antarctic Press, meaning they're printing it for the creator. Um, they're the creators getting their royalties off of the sale of the comics, but Antarctic Press is still getting their money as well, which means everybody gets paid, which is awesome. Now, Critter, Critter, and I wore this shirt in honor of Critter. She's technically not Critter on my shirt, but has a lot of the same characteristics. Critter, right here. See her tail. See her tail. Right there. Critter. This is the collected graphic novel of Critter. As it states here, the second best superhero comic in the universe. So, this was created and written by Tom Hutchinson. And then you've got a lot of other credits going in there. Now, Big Dog Inc. is who is their moniker by Tom Hutchinson. So he obviously likes dogs, and so his Big Dog Inc. has a a dog as this logo here, and this is the credits page that's in the book. Now you've also got with special permission, you've got Lilyhammer, Todd Nanook, the Sire, Michael Dulce, Pinpoint, Alfred Page, Cat Point 5, and Sebastian Pis- Piscion. And I could have butchered his last name. But this shows you everybody that's through here. So you've got the Secret Origin credits, you've got the miniseries credits, you've got Velvet Fox bonus story as presented by Aspen Comics. So yes, at a point in time, this book went over to Aspen Comics, which was a Michael Turner entity inside of Image Comics. And we all know Michael Turner, great artist. When it came to pretty much anything he touched, he died way too soon of cancer, and um, and it's just cancer sucks. Okay, and so it takes way too many people. Like Stephen Hughes on my back wall back over here. I've got artwork of him. He died of cancer way too soon. Lady Death artist, all that good stuff, and he made boobs what they were today in comics, basically. Uh, and then you've got the special thank you character designs in here as well. And so it tells you who the editor is and all that stuff. But it is written and created by Tom Hutchinson. And we're going to get into the opening pages, onward, upward, and forward. And I'm just going to read this direct. So this could sound a little dry to some of you out there, but welcome to the show. I am Monty Anderson, your host. At 412 Productions, I would have my normal logo behind me, but since we are talking Antarctic Press title Critter, we have the Antarctic Press logos from 1985 to present day. So this is the page that I'm getting ready to read. Onward, upward, and forward, which means this is the forward to this graphic novel. And it says it may not be normal for the writer and creator of a book to write their own forward for a collected edition like this. But those that know me will laugh when I say, I have a tendency to do things my own way. And guess what? That's how it's still happening 10 years later. So this book has been around for 10 years, Critter has. And I've seen it on the shelves, and I've seen it in the dollar bins and things like that at comic stores or even antique stores. And I've just never picked it up. It just never appealed to me for whatever reason. I consider letting someone else talk about Critter, or I considered letting someone else talk about Critter in this space, but that simply wouldn't do. Critter has been in print in one form or another consistently for the past 10 years. This includes a stint with Aspen Comics, who became our publisher for a time. But she's actually been around since 1992. Who on here right now has been around since 1992? I have. When she was created by a wannabe artist in the back of a college business class. Little did I know when that when, hold on, little did I know then that this randomly generated character would become such a big part of my life. Growing up with comics in the 70s and 80s, I knew that creating a fun old school style superhero was going to be the way to go. The modern age of dark, gritty, and even realistic superheroes is just something I wanted no part of. People told me that it wouldn't work, that the market for comics had changed and I had to change with it. I guess it's pretty obvious that I chose to stick to my guns, so to speak. Fun was the goal. I wanted those that read the adventures of a cat girl named Critter to enjoy their time with her just as much as I did when I was writing those adventures. Critter wasn't simply something I was throwing out into the comic book universe in the hopes she would be accepted, but rather she was my love letter to the superhero comics that I grew up with. She was and is a touchstone to a time that was simpler and to me much more fun. After 10 years, 26 issues, 5 different spin offs, and a reprinted original series with a different publisher, Critter is still very alive and most certainly kicking. The very existence of this special collection is a testament to not only the character, but also the people she has reached and connected with over the past decade. And I've seen some really cool covers from this Critter series. Um, and I've seen a lot of the stuff that has come out of Tom Hutchinson's head, and it's very cool stuff. Especially the artist that he gets to work on his pieces with him as well. So it's not just like he is saying right here. Um, Over the past decade, it has become an icon. Critter has become an icon in the comic industry. A lot of people haven't heard of her and things of that nature, but she is a very cool character. Critter is a hero for everyone. If you enjoy the superhero genre in any capacity, she will probably fit right into your current or back issue reading list. Remember the days of spandex comics, secret identities, and those wonderful utility belts? Critter brings it all back without making a joke of it, so to speak. I invite you to sit back in your chair and start at the beginning of a journey that, while having a final destination, is nowhere near completion. Critter is my first creation and my gift to comic book readers and collectors. She is here to remind us all of what we were, are, and can be. So we all have a future, is what he's saying. No matter what our past looks like, we all have a future. Now, as you go through this, and I've got it in PDF form, I don't have it in physical copy form. So I had to print out, which I was given permission in the email to print out these items. So it's not copyrighted, not anything like that from my end, because I'm getting permission from the publisher to print out the titles as I see fit. And so you go in and it starts giving you character profiles, like Electric Youth, Gina Kumamoto, and Paradox. Some key players in the piece here. And it gives you their background, what they can do, what their abilities are, and things of that nature. And some of these people you see right off the bat on the cover of here. So you see Electric Youth here. Um, you don't see Paradox and you don't see Gina on here at all. But just let it be known that they're there in spirit. All right, so the opening book takes place, and it kind of flip flops a little bit because you see it's a superhero college is what it is. They're in a superhero college because even here it says good morning and welcome back to um, Sociology 119 Heroes and Villains. Considering it's a Friday, I want to thank you all for arriving on time. So then she's got these people sitting all over the floor and things like that. And she's speaking to a group of people that are sitting on the floor, and she's like, "Hey, are you even in my class?" And they say, "I am today." So that's how this opens. We don't know anything about any of these characters as we open the book. We don't even know really the teacher's name right off the bat until you meet Lily Hammer. She scares the crap out of pretty much the entire class. They go running and falling on the floor. And then she's like, hey, no, I'm just here to help teach the class. So a superhero shows up. And then we get to know a little bit more. You got Mascara, Brenda St. Michael, who we just saw the teacher talking to the class. And then you've got Rookie, um, a tomboy who uses light based powers to create sports equipment in battle. So, again, all these people have their own unique talents and abilities. Now, like the teacher, is professor of superhero sociology and best friends of Cassia's mother, the Velvet Fox. So, we've got all these different stories that are getting ready to happen. And so they're introducing you to all these different characters right off the bat as you go through this comic, this collected graphic novel of 10 years worth of, and I'm not going to say it's the full 10 years because they didn't include everything into this book, which for me, if it was a graphic novel and I had 10 years worth of work under my belt as far as a comic book series went, I think I would do two or three collected, like volume one, volume two, volume three, or even volume four, depending on how you would have to break it up. Unlike my ginormous ElfQuest book that I just got in a couple months back, which is literally about this thick, with all the covers from every publisher that's ever published an ElfQuest title ever, plus up to the new stuff, which happened in 2024. So that was an exciting book for me because that was one of my grow up had to have comic books, and I still collect it today. Wendy and Richard Penny, ElfQuest. It has bounced around from title to title, company to company, but they call Dark Horse their home. And it's had its stint at Marvel, at Entity Comics, Warp Graphics. The list goes on and on. But they call Dark Horse their home because that's where I guess they've been the longest. So, but right off the bat, as we go through this, and I'm assuming that this is the origin story, um, secret origin credits, which is where we begin in the book, other than that little snippet right there with the teacher. Uh, Barbara St. Michael's. We see not Critter. This person happens to be. Bum, bum, bum. I don't know. I do not know who this character is. She's a Miss Marvel type character, which we haven't been introduced to just yet. So let me speed forward just a minute right here in the book and see if I can find the origin story of her. So we can tell you exactly who she is. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, here we go. No, she's not there. Because this is not, well, is it? Oh, this is, sorry. We have seen her already. This is none other than Rookie. Rookie is the one fighting right now who we see. And she's using her powers right here against Tidal Wave, or Tidal Pool. Tide Pool. Tide Pool is this character, a lot like Moon Knight looking character. And she's using her powers against him. So, they're in a big battle, and most of the pages have some kind of action packed stuff going on, like this giant squid coming up out of nowhere. Okay. And so they've got this huge battles going on, a lot of dialogue going on as well, with a lot of action happening. So you've got, not only do you have um, Rookie, you've also got Starlet here as well. And then pretty soon you get to see Critter show up, and she's tapping Tidepool on the shoulder with her tail. So her tail is a living entity in and of itself as well. So it can do things kind of like a possum's tail or a snake's tail or things like that. It wraps, taps, touches, moves on its own. Well, by mind. And as she taps him on the shoulder, he turns around and says, "What exactly are you supposed to be?" And she says, "Just a little critter." But I love the artwork in here, especially for I wouldn't say a startup company. I mean, but they are. This is the origins of Critter, and so the artwork is very cool. It's very well done as you go through and look at everything. How it's moving, how the panels lay out, um, what everything does inside of it, and there's some little things here and there that could have been done better, in my opinion. But all in all, the way they've got it laid out, the way they've got it paneled, the dialogue, the action, it's very well done. The artwork is very spot on. You can tell which character is which, from panel to panel. You don't have to try and guess like you do sometimes with some comics where you go from the main shot, which is an up close personal, half body shot or whatever of the character, and then it pans off to a distance shot, and then you're like, okay, which one's which here? And that happens occasionally inside even mainstream comics like in Marvel and DC. Sometimes it's hard to tell what character is who, but lots of action happening in a water battle type esque, at a dock somewhere, and so as you move through the comic, again, there's action on pretty much every page, and I think that's why Ben Dunn liked Critter, to bring it on board, was because as in his words, every how do you keep the reader's attention? Action on every page. It's paraphrasing what he has said, but he likes the fact that he can flip to a page and boom, there's action happening. Some kind of action. And it doesn't always have to be fighting. It can be, you know, serious dialogue between the two characters with pointing and different things like that. Um, but the more action in Ben's eyes, the better, the book is, because it draws the reader in. Okay, this is happening now. What's happening next on the next page? And um, and she keeps correcting Tidepool, because he keeps calling her creature, and she says, "I've told you a million times, it's critter, not creature," as she's kicking his butt. And then Rookie gets the best of, by the creature. She's getting beat up by this big squid that is, controlled by Tidepool, kind of like an Aquaman thing. It looks like Moon Knight. So think, Submariner, Prince Namor. But Rookie gets, uh, sorry, I got critters in my ceiling right now that are having a heyday. So Mascara attacks Critter and knocks her off into the water. And so now you got this wet critter in the water with Mascara, and then all of a sudden she starts going down. She starts to sink because she's got a tail wrapped around. Um, Mascara has grabbed her tail basically and is pulling her under the water, which is what we're seeing here. So she's underwater in these two panels here. She's going under here, right there. But again, always action, action, action. Something's happening on a regular basis, and So she gets up and takes a breath, and then all of a sudden she gets pulled back down underwater. And then the next thing you see is her um, still sinking, and I believe it's Mascara who that is. Uh, it's hard to tell. Again, this is one of those panels where it's hard to tell because the outfit has changed from panel to panel here. Because we don't see, there's a mini skirt going on in this that we don't see going on over here. So I'm just looking at the title and what's reading here. Just because I'm trying to see what's going on here because we've got Critter being pulled down, and then this button gets hit on a belt, and it releases, I'm assuming, the tail. And then one person goes free and says, "I'm sorry, mama," going on right here on this bottom panel right here. And then Critter shows up without her belt, without her tail, and she is being helped out. And we'll get into the character here in just a minute. But she's being pulled out of the water again without her tail because it sank to the bottom with the other person. She gets a hug by Rookie, who's all nasty and slimy with blood and guts and stuff like that from the squid that she destroyed. And she gets it all over Critter's outfit. And she's like, ew, sorry about that. And don't worry about it. What happened up here? Where'd all the frog guys go? And then they tell them they all took off. And then she goes back home. Now, it's a Slipstream is who saved her from the water. You've got Tidepool, Ruler of the Depths, and all the horrors that dwell beneath the ocean's surface. And then Starleet right here. These are your character profiles. So again, you've got a lot of superhero-esque characters going on here. And a lot of these are taken from the actual comic book themselves. Like this one is when she's helping her out of the water, helping a critter out of the water. So this is where it jumps to issue 4. Um, and the comic book, even in the day, was $3.50. Okay, this was one of the covers for Critter number 4, showing Paradox back here and all the characters happening. A lot of critters happening on one book, and um, like critters through the years. So it's like almost like she was not the first critter. Is almost what it's seeming like on this cover, because you got critters throughout the years, different outfits, different eras, and things of that nature going on all over the place over here. So, and Paradox, like I said, as the main forefront character right there. Now we've got a new caricature here, and this is very typical of the '90s style work that came out back in the day, and very thin, very uh, fit characters who had a zero waist size with big hooters. You know, so if you just look at this panel right here, you can see she's got a size 0 waist. She's got a large chest, and the typical spandex superhero like he was talking about from back in the day. And this shows 12 hours earlier, and she's beating up on some creatures that are over some water. And we'll get into who this character is in just a moment, because we have not been introduced to this character yet. But there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of cool artwork. I mean, the artwork alone, this is just a one-page splash page showing the fight getting ready to ensue between the character and this creature over here. So if you can't see that, I'm sorry. Right there. And we're about to be introduced to a whole lot of new people. Um, tour getting introduced here. They're showing all these screens um, with everything that's happening around the area with all these creature attacks. Um, Tide pool, these creatures attacking this superhero, and then you've got uh, Starleet, Rookie, and Critter, all inside with Icon, and they're all looking at this main screen. And I'll do the kind thing. I'll show you the whole panel screen here as they are standing side by side. So this whole panel screen, I'm sure it was a center or close to a center page spread whenever it happened in the book, right there. But they're all looking at these screens that have all these creatures on and telling, this is what's been happening over the past X amount of hours, all across our coastal areas, and all these attacks have been happening. And they're all talking to Icon. He doesn't know what it means. It's just that tide pool was apparently seen at all 5 locations last night. So that means that they're looking at tide pool as the main culprit with it all. Welcome, everybody. My name is Monty Anderson with 412 Productions. We are going through the 100 pages, and that's why I went on early today, of The Drop of Critter, which is the graphic novel. I am Monty Anderson with 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson, and we talk comic books, my artwork in general, comic book movies, all that good stuff. We talk about real life situations as well. But today, every Friday, and let me just tell you what's going on for those of you stopping in and checking out the channel for the first time. We were blessed by Mr. Ben Dunn at Antarctic Press, which you see all the titles behind me. Well, this is all the the logos that they've gone through over the years, since they've been around since 1985. They've been around for 40 years, and uh, they put out a call to influencers and people with podcasts and things like that, or live shows, and wanted to get more exposure to their books, to give raw, real commentary about their books that they produce, classic and the new stuff that are getting ready to drop. So every Friday, he drops me, or not just me, but other people, a PDF of the new books that are getting ready to come out by Antarctic Press. And excuse me, sorry. Um, and so from that end, I get to print out what I need to show you guys on screen, the stuff that's happening inside this book as we go through it together. And so I did not print out everything from all the books, just because that would have been 100 pages. And I printed out quite a few, though, out of it all. So Paradox shows up, excuse me, on this next panel and tells them what's happening is irrelevant to everything that's going down. And Paradox is upset with Critter because of what had happened. And he's, basically yelling at her. And Rookie is like, tone it down, man. And she puts her hand on him and it goes through him. And she's like, what the heck? And she's trying to tell him that Critter did what she was supposed to do, by pulling her own weight in this situation. And then Icon steps in, which is your superhero Batman, Superman type character. And he's telling them that we've got a bigger problem going on right now, more than what you're popping in for. Well, then all of a sudden he's able to touch people. And when he touches her, she sees all these flashing images of what has happened, uh, present and past. and even going farther back into her own life. And then she's also recapping all of these flashes, images that are happening in the book. But again, everything is well done. Everything is really coherent and cool, and it's just your typical '90s feel to a comic book. Again, spandex, tight clothing, and tight clothing on everybody, the men, the women, uh, and in certain situations, you have a better physique, if you will, on the females than what was there even just previously. So the chest was always changing, is what I'm talking about with these comics. And so as time progresses, um, he takes her to a different dimension or a different spot in the world and drops her. And she ends up just planting her butt on the ground as she falls. And she's met with one of the other superheroes in there saying, "You okay?" And she's like, "Well, I guess." But in reality, according to this, there's a whole bunch more story in there, and then we get to this portion right here to be continued. And as it says, Critter will return in the spring. Same cat time, same cat channel. So they basically used the 1966 Batman themes for this, which was kind of cool. Uh, hold on just a second, folks. I gotta go take the pig out. You can probably still hear me on this. Sorry, the girlfriend already took her outside. I just had to put some food in her bowl. That's why she was at my door. All right. So now we see her all tied up and tangled and ready for whatever's happening next. She has all these tubes tied to her. Um, so I skipped several sections of the story in here just to get to here, and he's talking about her daughter Cassia. Because this is the Velvet Fox. So we skipped over. This isn't Critter, but this is the Velvet Fox, and she's all tangled up and tied by him, and he's letting her know that Cassia will be with him soon, which is her daughter. And then you've got Icon, Charity, and Cougar right here. So whenever all this happens right here, then as it says, Aspen Comics took over um, the duties of this book. And so it says the original Critter miniseries was remastered by Aspen Comics in 2015. So from 1992 until 2015, it was under its own title, Big Dog Inc. In 2015, it included 32 bonus story pages focusing on Critter's mother and her relationship with Paradox. The following are the new covers and interiors produced for Aspen by artist C.B. Zane, colorist Cici de la Cruz, and lettered by Kel Nuttall. So, this is the page that tells you in 2015, right there that I just read, that it was taken over, not taken over, but it was moved over to Aspen Comics for a short bit. Um, which, if again, Aspen Comics is the entity inside of Image Comics by Michael Turner. Michael Turner taken way too soon uh, via cancer. Cancer sucks, we all know, and we move on. Because a lot of us have had someone that we know touched by cancer in some form, fashion, or another. So, with the new rejuvenation into Aspen Comics under a new creative team, the artwork became your 100% um, Image Comics title look. Okay, the colors were sharper. the The look was different. The bodies got more bodacious, if you will. So you see the lines are a lot crisper, cleaner, sharper than they were previously. And then again, um, you've got again. This is the story about Paradox and Silver Fox and how they became and how Cassia came into existence. So you got two cat type women right here hugging on each other, getting ready to go do their adventure to save some people and kick some ass and all that good stuff. Again, Paradox's outfit has changed since the last we saw him, right there, from even just the previous couple of pages right before the Aspen Comics piece, which, well, Paradox isn't right there, but where are you? They tried to keep it the same, but they changed it up some. I'm trying to find where it actually is. I mean, they relatively kept it the same, but they did some elements to lighten it up and make it more futuristic looking, if you will, because he does come from the future. So I'm just looking back at some of this past stuff on the other book, but they did try to keep it true to form. Now they're kicking some major ass on a thug group out there, and as you can see, they've got a whole new cast of villains that they're fighting, um, like Albatross instead of the Vulture, if you will. Um, but every character is unique to itself. You do not see, a whole lot of plagiarism when it comes to uh, other characters out there. Like in Good Morning, Roy. Welcome to the show, finally. Um, you don't see a whole lot of plagiarism of other characters out there, meaning like you don't have the same color suits as like the Albatross. He could be taken as the Angel or the Vulture in Marvel Universe world, but he's his own entity. He's got yes, he's got the wings like Angel or the Vulture would have, but he is in essence his own thing going on here. So it's not a plagiarized piece like you get to see in some other things. Like take Rob Liefeld's characters for example. A lot of his were direct plagiarisms from um, Marvel characters that he drew for them. Like what was it, his Patriot or something like that, that he had to completely change because it was way too close to Captain America, and he got basically sued, cease and desist type of a situation. Um, and so he had to completely change his thought pattern on it, and he had to change it up 10%. Okay, so which meant he dropped um, the round shield for a different style of shield that he had. Even though he kept the shield, He just changed it to a different style, and which seemed to appease the masses and change some color schemes and things like that. Sorry, folks, I'm just moving some things around so I can lay some things down easier. Lay some things down. Lay it down. Get to the chopper. All right. So, in some aspects, uh, uniforms have changed a little bit. Outfits have changed a little bit. The tail has changed a little bit. Because as we saw in the previous, there was a little bit sharper point to the tail. Not so much sharp like this one here. Um, Devil tail, if you will, as some people would refer to it as. Um, you've got her tail has changed. It still does the same thing. It's still kinetically attached to her, and it still does what it's supposed to do, which is have a mind of its own per se. Well, Paradox is here with her. A lot of action happening page to page. She kicked the Albatross's ass, and they're moving on. Um, and they're talking about the fighting ability of these two characters together in this panel. Again, action, 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 and he's talking about how he's from the future and how he can't stand the future the way it is, how humanity has become. Uh, he's talking about how he doesn't really like how the utopian future ends up, where everything is in peace and harmony, where they don't know, the populace doesn't know about war, doesn't know about, crime, doesn't know about this, that, or the other. And you do have people that are like that don't want peace anywhere in the world. And so for this character to not like it himself, you know, he hates it and he's talking about it. Uh, like he says, no one steps forward to lead. They roam the planet like as cattle. There is no spark of life left in them. There is no creativity or desire to better themselves. There is no one for them to look up to idolize, to fear. And fear is what motivates change. Fear promotes action. Fear is at the core of human development. I will motivate the world in a way long forgotten. I will remind them how it feels to want, to yearn, to desire, to change. I will give them something to fear. And then it's to be continued. So you're seeing that Paradox, even though he is the anti hero here, he wants there to be change. He wants there to be that that striving goal, if you will. And then they talk about the cat-eared wonder save the city. Once again, Critter thrived in her role as sidekick to her mother, the Velvet Fox. And I don't know if they actually knew that they were mother and daughter team or not. So he's following the trail of time, is what he says here on this panel. Again, another double fold panel right there. He's following the trail, the timeline, and it says of time and discover the moment best suited for division and or cohesion. So he's either going to separate them or he's going to make them stronger together. Again, we're going through 100 pages of Critter, the Antarctic Press title that was at Aspen Comics in 2015 for a short bit. Um, and we're going through 100 pages, and not all 100 pages, but pretty close. I did not print out everything. Um, he goes back in time to a point in time that which is different. Young Vanessa has discovered she can do things with her mind, limited and sporadic at this point in her life. But she knows it is here, it is there, and she has already made the decision in her heart, in her own mind, as to what her place is in this world will be. The greatest superhero ever. And so she has decided at a young age to be a superhero. And so Paradox shows up and he's talking to her as a kid. She's a teenager basically in this panels here. And she's cutting out her cape to make it how she needs it. And she's using her mind to telekinetically put this cape on herself. And he's talking to her about it, trying to teach her about her powers, what she, what her abilities are, and what she can do with them. So he forms a bond with her here, and she tries to touch him, and her hand passes through it until he wants her to touch him. And so he says, "Try again," basically, and then he takes her hand in his, and they're talking. She's all freckled up and all this good stuff, and and he tells her her full name, Vanessa Crawford, and that she is one of those superheroes out there. And again, we get to the end of this book where he's watching the incident go down because he is from the future, so he went back to the past, and he's watching the whole thing go down. And he's talking to himself. I have much to do, and I have all of time to accomplish it with a smile on his face underneath his masked face. And again, it says to be continued. Then we get a splash page, and I'm not sure where this falls in the actual book continuity of it all and which character this really is. Um, it's just a badass on a bike, is what she is. And then we open up on the next book, the next installment of where she is defending someone on the playground who's getting bullied right now. And she uses her telekinetic power to spring load people away from the area. Velvet Fox here. And so um, they try to attack her again, and she swooshes them away with her mind once again. So again, every panel almost is action, action, action. You have action going on page to page, as you see, swooshing them away. And then she's getting taught how to harness her abilities, harness her power, her telekinetic power. And, you know, she's learning to control all of this while controlling the abilities in herself. So her outfit is changing. She is changing. She is getting to able to control her abilities more and more on a regular basis. And now she is, I say, a young adult in this one. She's not the teenage kid she was. I mean, she's probably still like 18, 19 at this point in time is what it's looking like. He's talking about how her telekinetic abilities have grown exponentially, and how she's uprooting full fledged trees here. You know, not just your typical 3 to 5 inch trees. We're talking, you know, like a 30 to 60 inch width around this tree, and she's just ripping it out of the ground like it's nothing. So think Jean Grey on a larger scale, if you will. Well, now she's thinking that everybody's lonely, and he promises to always be there for her, no matter what. They pinky promise, you know, that little pinky promise thing. Never got into any of that stuff, but anyway. So then she becomes the Velvet Fox, and puts on her new outfit. Her outfit changes over time, of course, just like every superhero's outfit. It over time changes on a regular basis. So in these 4 panels, you got 4 different outfits all together, right there. 4 completely different outfits all the way around. Now, this one is your typical heartthrob, big boob, in your face outfit that shows off everything. And she joins forces with all these other characters here. They become 4 instead of 3. So the Velvet Fox has joined forces with um, the Corps. She is now a member of the Corps, and now she has found a home with some superheroes. Like, share, and follow if you would. That would be great for all of this. You can also follow me on my other socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, you're here on TikTok with us now. And I appreciate each and every one of you being here. If you like, share, and follow, you'll get shouted out on the screen. So now we're coming to the end of this next chapter of the book, and they're talking about Starlight and Icon are so strong, so intense. We can do some real good for this world. You honor me with your inclusion in your group. Vanessa, history has was unable to describe the emotions of this moment. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Without you, I may not have been here myself. And then he says he will stay with the group. There ain't no Razorback crap here anywhere, buddy. I don't follow Arkansas crap. This is a Bigfoot hat. This has nothing to do with Arkansas there, buddy. So quit trying to change the subject into what you want it to be. Um, we're here to talk Antarctic Press, Mr. Roy Joe Bradley Jr. So, you've got this splash page, which shows all these villains, um, and we'll get into who all they are in just a little bit. But they're kind of a cool crew right here, as you see. You got all these cool looking villains back in here. So that means we're probably getting ready to start seeing some new villains show up in this book. And then you've got everybody's out doing a little bit of partying. Um, they are getting photographed, and there's a big battle that ensued, and then everybody's happy that they helped out, and they kicked some arse out there. And so they're all getting filmed by everybody, because everybody nowadays, instead of helping somebody out, they'd break out their cell phones. Oh, look, they're getting their ass kicked. I'm not going to help out, but I'm going to sure film it so I can get famous on the internet. And then she's throwing up in the sink, and yes, you did. And then he's talking about how she must abort this child because somewhere along the way she got pregnant. We're not sure if it's from, Mr. Paradox or not, because he seems to be a android or something from the future. I don't know if he's human. We don't know much about him other than he's from the future. But he's got a lot of metallic accoutrements with him right there. And thank you, TikTok. I would not be able to pass my day without that puzzle piece coming up. And they're discussing it about the abortion that he said that you know um, Paradox told her that she needed to abort the child, and she was like, "No, that's not specifically what he said, but that's what he was implying." He is cold, but I would not believe him to be so uncaring. Has he not assisted you throughout your life? And so she's feeling her belly and all that stuff, and how she's thinking over everything as she's in the night sky floating around. And so then she talks to Paradox because she found a adoption place for the baby. Um, she's already told her mom that she's pregnant and that she's still going to have the child. And then she's telling him, I'm going to be a mom. And he says, so it would seem. Well, she ends up having the baby. And he goes on in his timeline. And he's trying to figure out how he can disrupt the timeline that has happened with it all. So he's going to go play with time, as it shows right here in this bottom panel right here. So he follows Cassia as she grows up. We're getting close to the end, folks. He's following Cassie as she grows up, and the future falls into place. He thought that trying to change or alter the timeline by different ways, it would change how things led to where they did. But apparently, as he went through the timelines, everything fell back into place the way it was supposed to be, where it was supposed to be. And so he's a little disappointed, but he's also, in a way, relieved at the same time. Um, and so you see Velvet Fox trying to save some people telekinetically, and he comes back into this blazing building where she's at, and she's saving people left and right. And and so she's inside the burning buildings of the Twin Towers, is what it boils down to. And so they're telling him, or telling her, telling the Paradox is telling Velvet Fox that we're going to stay locked in this present moment forever until uh, he says, I'm sorry, Vanessa, but she cannot know you escaped this place. She cannot know you were her mother. She must follow the path she is on. She is already on. And Vanessa's like, I'm not ready for this. We can remain here, stuck in time, essentially forever. When you are ready, when you understand this offer, this gift, we will simply be gone, and history will record itself as intended. And then she says, Cassia. And Cassia's watch. She's telling her that I love you, and I will always be with you. And there, with her mother, with Velvet Fox's mother, she's watching the Twin Towers um, happen on TV. And Paradox says he's going to watch over Critter, or Cassia, for all of time. And that's how this one ends. It says to be continued, but we don't have that continuation yet. So I don't know where it's going to fall. Don't know how it's going. But then we get into Critter design, or designing the second best superhero in the universe and her friends. So these are the new um, design works as you go into the graphic novel. So it shows you how she began. Critter, how she was originally drawn in 1992 by Tom Hutchinson. In 2008, Joe Louise was hired to bring Critter to life based on the final designs by Adam Withers. So, in this very top rudimentary sketch up here, I'm going to show them up here first. Sorry, guys. Right here, you see what she looked like in 1992. Right here. And then the character design as you see her now. Again, the chest size was changed to compensate age and all that good stuff, as you can see in all the different pictures here. Every superhero needs a secret identity. Cassia was a lifelong country girl before being transplanted to California. So again, your typical ripped up jeans, sexy girl look from the 90s. Very thin, very fit superhero. And I'm glad they did Faith a little different, a voluptuous, curvy female for the masses. And then you've got Rookie. Sports and superheroes rarely mix, but the reality is those players put on uniforms and equipment and are absolutely heroes to people around the world. Rookie is a multi sport athlete who leans on her love of hockey. So, again, she creates sports equipment with her powers. And again, Joe Luis is doing all of this. Um, you've also got Dave Roberts and Adam Withers with Joe Luis doing his thing. You got Icon and Starlet are the leaders of the Corps. Icon is from a world of militaristic culture. Starlet's real name is Princess Eladia. She is also from another world and can control the light spectrum, kind of like Dazzler. This is heading towards the end of the book of the graphic novel that we just talked about, which is Critter by Antarctic Press and by Aspen Comics in 2015. Critter has been around since 1992, and I know a lot of you possibly haven't been around that long. And now we've got Yellow Jacket is Critter's first true arch enemy, a mysterious and solitary figure until he founded Unicorn. Bulldog and Faith form the odd team up along with Cricket and Yellow Jacket. So again, uh, what was his name? Faith, who is the upside down crosses all over himself, right here, and then Bulldog and Yellow Jacket up top. Bulldog, Yellow Jacket, Bulldog, Yellow Jacket, and Faith. Tidepool is the ruler of the depths. He inhabits the shells and bones of dead sea monsters and other various ocean creatures, giving him his monstrously deformed appearance. Paradox is the quiet and often confusing visitor from the future. His cape is made of temporal energy, shaped to give him a more heroic appearance. So Tidepool, and Paradox. Again, they pretty much kept the same elements that they created back in the 90s for Paradox and for Tidepool. So they just changed it up a little bit here for this piece. The Velvet Fox was a founding member of the Corps. Along with Icon and Starlet, she was designed to have a very 80s or 90s style superhero costume. Nothing we do in our design is there by accident because they're spotlighting her boobs, is basically what they're saying. Electric Youth was designed initially to be a part of a larger speedster group. They would all have a similar suit design, but we have not seen any other speedsters in the Critterverse yet. So here you go. This is the final character design for the Velvet Fox and the Electric Youth right there. So then you go into the books that they've got. Then they show you a lot of different looks. You've got Todd Nanook. You've got Nia Rufino. You've got another Todd Nanook cover. You've got a Baltimore Comic Con, cosplay. You got Jeff Pina, basically kind of like from Jesse James Comics, which looks a little bit more like something Ben Dunn would have done in here. Ben Dunn would have done. Long Beach Comic Con Critter number 0, Critter number 1 variant and retail incentive, and then Ryan Otley, and then you got Val Staples as Critter herself here. So this is showing you the comics and the variants thereof as it went in 2015. E-Bass over here, Mr. E-Bass himself, Mr. Go Ass, Eric Basaldua. Very cool dude. I talk to him semi-regularly on Facebook. He's a good dude. But you have the retail variant, Critter number 3, Critter number 3 Detroit Fanfare exclusive, a black and white, and the regular. Again, Eric there and Nia Rufino. And then you got a variant by J.B. Nito, Oren Kramick, and then Critter number 4, New York Comic Con exclusive, Rob Dunis. And then you got the Tucson Comic Con, Ian Snyder and Kate Finnegan. So they're just giving you a rundown towards the end of the graphic novel of all the covers that you could potentially get if you were to get every cover that Critter had. And then the last part is Aspen Comics era variants, retailer incentives, Critters 1 through 4, art by Nia Rufino, and then you've got a San Diego Comic Con, Alex Conat, and Peter Stiggerwald, a Cincinnati Comic Con Expo, Jordan Gunderson and Juan Fernandez, and then the New York Comic Con, Ruben Duenas. So that is your Aspen variants 1 through 4 and the incentive covers right there. Then they had some puzzle covers, and then we're going to get into a little bit of the pages that weren't used in the books. So, welcome everybody. Monty Anderson. We're getting close to the end of this 100-page massive drop when it comes to talking about Critter from Antarctic Press here. And this is one of the puzzle covers that you've got here. They all connect together. So you got this one connects with this one right there. And then from this one, you got this one. And then with this one, you get this one, which gives you a lot of the creative team right here. Some people we might not have. Oh, that is Mascara, I believe, right there. Even though I don't know why she would be there, but that's the same outfit Mascara had. That's Starleet that we just saw. That's Rookie, and then of course Critter right off the bat. By V. Ken, Marion, and Juan Fernandez did these covers. The connecting covers for that book. So you had 4 connecting puzzle covers right there. Now, they give you a little sneak peek of what did not make the cut for whatever reason. And it is cool stuff. I don't know why it didn't make the cut. It's a lot cleaner than some of the other stuff. Editor's cuts, unused pages for the original miniseries. Jose Luis and J.P. Mayer. I mean, it's cool stuff, and I don't know why they would not have used it. Other than it would have made the book too long, maybe, whatever. And this is from Critter number 3, page 1. Is what it looks like right here. And it gives you, Mayer and Louise up top. Apparently, the Yellow Jacket is using his power in this panel. And it's very cool stuff. And this is the stuff I want to be done in mine. I just want straight black and white. I don't want a whole bunch of color in mine. I want straight black and white to tell the story. Sharp contrast with each other and things of that nature. So, that's what I want in my own book. And this is page 2 that was not used in Critter number 3. and or is that? It's either critter number. No, it is critter number 3 that they did not use these panels at. But you just saw page 1. Here's page 2. Again, a lot of action happening in these panels. There is no dialogue just because it did not make the cut, so they decided not to put any dialogue in the book whatsoever. But welcome everybody to the show. Monty Anderson. We are going through a massive 100-page Critter collected graphic novel by Antarctic Press. This is page 3 of book 3. Again, Yellow Jacket is fighting um, Critter, and just all action ensues, is what it boils down to. Nothing but action, action, action. We have 2 more pages to go through, and we'll be done, and I will talk in depth about this book a little bit more. Um, you've got Rookie and you've got Critter, and they both get cold cocked uh, by Yellow Jacket, and their blood ensues from their mouths in these bottom panels. And then page 5 of the book, from number 3 that did not get used, is Critter's using her tail to help get him out of the situation, and cold cocks Yellow Jacket with her tail. Right here. Again, unused panels from book 3. Basically, they looks like they had to redo the whole thing. So there you have it. We just went through 100 pages of the graphic novel of Critter. Very, very well done book. My hat's off to Tom Hutchinson for his creative genius with this and the character world that he has created. It gives me some inspiration for my own book that I am working on, and it lets me know to not give up on that dream, and I never will. I will continue to strive until I'm able to get my book out there as well. Now, all the different various characters that they have created and weaved through this world are very well done. Yeah, they did take a lot of stuff from other superheroes, because like he said, he was a superhero fan of the 70s and 80s comics and superheroes of those days, um, which would have been Superman, Batman, Aquaman, the Uncanny X Men, um, Alpha Flight in the 80s. The list goes on and on. And I'm sure that he took inspiration from those characters that he saw and created his own world with his characters. And he wanted that true superhero book. He didn't want the realism. He didn't want the over the top. He didn't want the gore and the this and then that and the other. He wanted a true superhero of the 80s book, if you will. And that's what he created in this world. And for him to, jump from one title book, sorry folks, it's so early. I've been up since about 2 o'clock. Um, to have his book started with one company and then picked up by Aspen Comics is a testament in and of itself. And then to get a complete creative crew overhaul, again, is another testament to his story of this character. And he has done really really well in the realm of the lore of comic books, because you can find these books out there. Yeah, some of them are going to be more expensive than others, but possibly even some of the earlier works you can find for a decent price. But if you can find Critter out there in the world, please do so. It changes my opinion on it, because, like I said, I've seen this book around many, many times, and I just passed it up because it's not something I was really interested in at the time. But now, as I go through the book, I read his story about um, how the character came about. It changes my perspective on him creating this character. And so, I'm all for it. If I can find the copies out there in the wild somewhere, I'll pick them up. But if I can't, I can't. I, yeah, I don't have any here in my repertoire of over 5,000 comic books sitting right here on my side, and because I've never, yeah, no, I definitely know I haven't ran through it. But if you can find this graphic novel, I would suggest picking it up because there was a lot of stuff that I left out that I didn't read to you. The action is awesome. The artwork is very cool, even from the standpoint of the original creative crew, um, not the Aspen Comics crew that took over in 2015. Uh, like I've talked about with some of the stuff inside of Antarctic Press titles previously, where it was rudimentary artwork and it looked a little childish, if you will. You don't have any of that here. You do get some panels that are off kilter and things like that with the foreground and how the characters are laid out in there. But for the most part, um, you get a good sense of everything works together panel to panel. And I really like this one. I like Dreadlock as well. I like Kendra. It was fun ride. It was funny. It had its serious moments, which is what you want in a comic book. You want your serious moments. You want your funny moments. You want to be entertained by that book. You don't just want it to be so heavy on a regular basis that um, that it's just hard to read. And this gives you all kinds of different aspects in the Critter universe. It gives you the fun aspect. It gives you the serious moments. It gives you the heartbreaking moments. It gives you the drama, the thrillers, the little bit of horror, the supernatural. It touches base on all of your senses as you're reading through this book. And so it is a book that anybody could read. Uh, as I was reading through, I didn't see any foul language or anything like that. Not like in my own book that's going to be out there because there will be some cursing out there. And there'll probably be some nudity in there. It makes me breathe funny. Um, and and if you know on that, you know. But Critter all the way through is a fun ride. I would like to see the 4 issue miniseries. I would like to see the spinoffs that he talks about and those things. So that's probably a book that I'm going to start looking for whenever I'm out in the wild at a comic book store or uh, vintage stock or those things like that. Just because I want to see this book, I want to indulge in this book. I want to read this book more. Um, Not saying that the other stuff that Ben Dunn has dropped to me, I don't want to indulge or read more into, but this is a book that grabs your attention. Again, panel to panel, page to page, the 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 artwork is cool. It's killer. You've got your typical image look once it moves over to Aspen Comics, which is unfortunate thing because Image has the look. You can always pinpoint an Image book without looking for the imprinted title on the book, just because there is a style. And that's not to say that it's a bad thing, but you could pick it out of a room full of other books, just because that's an Image book because look at how they're dressed, look at this, look at that, those type things. And so this book grabs your attention start to finish. And this is just the graphic novel. This isn't even the individual books, which are not all included in here, I don't think. Which is sad because if you're going to have a graphic novel, why not have every book, every spinoff of Critter? Well, I can understand not the spinoffs, but why not have every book that Critter was involved with in this graphic novel? because it's already 100 pages long. What's another couple of 50 pages? You know, make it 150, make it 160, make it a 200-page graphic novel, which is not unheard of. Like I said, this graphic collected over here of my Elf Quest, and let me just pull it because it's sitting right here. I'll move a couple things. This thing is a workout in and of itself. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Elf Quest, right here. The collected volumes of covers, 1978 to 2022, right here. This was my least favorite cover of them all, to be honest. I did not like the fakeness to it, if you will. Um, like they just superimposed that fake fur and all that crap on top of Cutter. It just looked silly to me. That was probably one of my worst favorite covers of all. But this one's cool. I love Wendy and Richard Penny's work when it comes to this stuff right here. But it is a huge monster of a book, um, and it's just awesome. ElfQuest is my gig. Besides the Uncanny X-Men, which is my first love, ElfQuest came very close to second because even my gang affiliation name, if you will, back in the day was Cutter because I was very skilled with a blade. Not saying that I'm not now, but just saying that I don't do that stuff anymore. But because I was a teenager, what did I know? You know, I loved the name, and I even created a little pendant in art class of his sword. Um, and so there you have that. But no, this was a fun ride going through this book. Unfortunately, I printed out way too many pages for it all. But to get you, the viewer, here to, no, she didn't. You can keep your Arkansas to yourself. Nobody really likes Arkansas, Mr. Roy Joe Bradley. I, for one, do not like Arkansas. Yes, I live here, but I do not like them. Any form, fashion, shape, or another. But Velvet Fox did not go to the University of Arkansas, so do not believe what Mr. Roy Joe Bradley just told you right there. Considering I'm going to take this as a coastal school, and Arkansas is not on a coast. So there you go. But nice try, Mr. Roy Joe Bradley, for trying to influx your Arkansas State school in there and try to convert people to a horrible, horrible school. Uh, you know, but that's just my opinion. So, I mean, they even had to jump ship because they couldn't beat our school back in the early 60s and 70s. So, there you go. Have fun with that, Roy. You want to talk titles? Let's talk titles. All right. So, but no, that was a fun ride for Critter, the second best superhero comic book in the universe. Now, I don't know what he's pitting it up against. What the first uh, best superhero comic book in the universe is, because he doesn't really tell us, Mr. Tom Hutchinson. That is a question I have for you, Mr. Tom Hutchinson. What is the best superhero comic book out there? Oh, I don't hate. I just don't like them. Hate's a big word, and hate carries a lot of things, and I don't hate them. I just don't like them. So, and I don't have to talk about them because this is my show. But no, Critter was awesome, and if you can find it out in the wild, please do so. Uh, Tales from the Crypt. That's it. Tales from the Crypt is awesome. I like me some Tales from the Crypt, especially the old comic books, Tales from the Crypt, and then the show, of course, Tales from the Crypt. With the Crypt Keeper, the Crypt Keeper. Yeah, no, Tales from the Crypt is awesome. I love me some Tales of the Crypt. I'm a horror junkie. anything I can find in the horror realm, especially in comic books and movies and things like that, I'll I'll have around. And if Tales from the Crypt said, "Hey, we want you to do an initiative program with us and promote our Tales from the Crypt," I'd jump all over that. And I would still do Ben Dunn's work with Antarctic Press as well, right here. And I would also, promote both, um, because what it does is help get fandom to me as well, as it helps push their book and their stuff out there into the world for you guys to understand or read or get a hold of. Because Critter, like I said, very very cool book. It is not horror related. It is just a typical superhero book, but you can find it out there in the wild. Um, and I would recommend that you do so. And Tales from the Crypt as well. So thank you for that. You and me both. Um, I have not found any true horror movie to scare me. And the ones that they say people have run out of the theater for whatever reason, it's like, yeah, I'm laughing at for the most part. Um, Even with their jump scares, even with their, supposed to be the worst thing you could ever imagine. There's been some horror movies that made me uneasy, um, but as far as scare me, no, they haven't scared me at all. And I had my kids scared on that one because I used to do that voice or that little thing on a regular basis whenever there was a dark room or things like that, and they would get scared. So yes, I scared my kids with that. So that was fun, and would do it outside their window at night and things like that. They had fun with it too, but they did get freaked out a few times. So I had to calm it down just a little bit. But yeah, no, no, I love horror. Um, but some of this new stuff that they're putting out that they call horror is a drama at best, for the most part. And unfortunately, I've got a friend that makes horror films as well, and you know, it's they're cool, and I follow them and I love them. But when it comes down to it, it's just like, it's just a typical a little bit of blood here, some guts here, those type things. And it's just like, eh. I've seen worse when I was in the military. I've seen worse horrors in the military than I do on some horror movies. So, especially being in Afghanistan for a year. So, yes, I am a military veteran, and I taught comic books. I do artwork. I have a comic book in the works, all that good stuff, and I am incorporating some horror themes into my comic book. So, and it's probably not going to scare a lot of people, but it's just going to be fun for me to do. So, but like House of Mystery and things of that, those type nomenclatures when it comes to comic books, those are the things that I love. Um, just because that's what I grew up on. I grew up on horror and science fiction. Yeah, yeah. It was an ordeal. I've got pictures on my computer that don't need to be seen by anybody, from what we saw over there, and it does mess with your head sometimes. That's why I don't sleep much at night. PTSD, all that good stuff. And but it's all good. I'm living life. I'm doing what I want to do on my own terms. I don't have a boss. I am my own boss. So I'm the only one that can fire me. So there you go. Um, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying life. I homestead, so I've got chickens, ducks, goats, pigs, and I also have a garden. And then I also do comic artwork or just artwork in general, not just comic book artwork. I got two that I cannot show right now just because they are. One's a super secret project for a comic book cover that I'm working on around, and they say thank you for your service. I can never do something like that. Takes a strong individual. Well, I appreciate it. I just followed in the footsteps of my grandpa, but I went in late. I was 33 when I joined the military. I should have done it out of high school because I probably would have retired from it. I probably would have been a lot more messed up than I am now from it as well. But I appreciate that, and not a lot of people will take that step and go into the service for our country. But again, I did it to follow in my grandfather's footsteps in the 45th Infantry, and the 45th Infantry is a rich heritage when it comes to um, the military side of things, from Korea to World War II to present day. We can still find the 45th Thunderbird out there on buildings at the National Guard realm out there. So if you ever get a chance to look up the history of the 45th Infantry, please do so. Even Hitler was impressed with the 45th Infantry's logo and changed it to something horrible, um, which was the swastika. And if you look at the original logo for the 45th Infantry, it had the same look, but it was reversed. And the idiot over there flipped it around and turned it into something horrific. And so we changed ours to a Thunderbird thereafter. And so just go look up the history of the 45th Infantry. It's very exciting and very cool stuff. But that is it for today, folks. That is a very long show. We were on. This is the longest I've been on for any of my shows so far, and 1 hour and nearly 40 minutes have elapsed from. But that's what happens whenever, and that's why I went ahead and went on early, just because this is a very lengthy graphic novel. Whenever I saw how many pages were included at 100 pages in this PDF, I was like, "Holy shit!" It's like I'm going to be on for 5 or 6 hours just talking about this thing, but it didn't go that long because I didn't print out everything. I didn't print out all 100 pages. I did print out quite a bit of the book, just so that you guys could see the action and the dialogue happening, and of course the scantily clad females and the tight outfitted men in there as well. Just because that's your typical 90s look, was very much so on. What is your question, Mr. Roy Joe Bradley? I'm waiting. What do you got? What do you got, Mr. Roy Joe Bradley? What do you got? What do you got? We're waiting. The world is waiting on you, man. Right now. Come on, brother. Yes, actually, the OU women's basketball team is in the Sweet 16, so thank you very much. So there you go, Mr. Roy Joe Bradley. I answered you honestly. And meatloaf is made with rice, not crackers. Just saying. But I think that is it for today. Um, that was a lot to go through. And again, if you can find Critter out there in the wild, please do so. And if you love horror as much as myself and the other person right there, please go find some horror. And love lip sync. I hope I'm saying that right. I appreciate you being here, Roy. I appreciate you waking up to come to the show finally, even though I know you've been up pretty much all night long, like you typically are for most of the time. And I appreciate each and every one of you stopping in, checking out the channel, and hanging with me. If you haven't followed me or liked my show or already, did go ahead and please do so. Please follow me and like here, and go follow my other stuff. I am on all other social medias. You can find me at Monty Anderson on Facebook, or my regular page, which you can go up here, go to my website, and if you go to my website, you will be able to find my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube, and here, of course, on the TikTok show right here. But I am live on Facebook and I am live here on right here. See, you didn't say men or women. Even on the bet that you wanted to make, you didn't say men or women. So, yes, OU is still in the title race. So, there you go, Joe. Roy Joe Bradley Jr. There you go. But I am ending it for now. And as I like to say, as I leave you guys to your day, which it is 5 o'clock a.m. here in Central America, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.